Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Chelsea Dressing Room Debrief, where we have beaten Manchester United 1-0 at Stamford Bridge in an absolute colossal game for the football club in their search for Champions League football. We've got one game left and it will be a decider against Nottingham Forest, where we need to win in order to get qualification for the Champions League, assuming that Villa and City, Newcastle, etc., do not slip up. So yeah, it obviously was an awful game. Same as always, turgid, slow. We let Man United sort of dominate us with their aggression and their press. And Maresca coming out with, we didn't expect them to be aggressive, but they've probably watched how bad we were at Newcastle in that first half when we were aggressively pressed, man for man, and sort of that sort of high press. And they probably thought that they'd do the same thing. And we thought because we're at home in a big game, we'd just sit back, try and play our slow football, control the game as he calls it, which we don't really because we don't really create anything. And you sort of saw for 70 odd minutes how bad we were again through that. And I don't understand why we didn't literally do what Newcastle did against us to Man United. Literally press them high up the pitch, literally be aggressive, get the crowd going. A Friday night, big game. You would have thought that's exactly what we would have done. And that's exactly how we were playing back when we were good before Christmas and we were actually playing attacking football where, yeah, we could have said our defence wasn't great, our keeper wasn't great. We looked like we were always conceding, but we always looked like we were going to create and score. Um, and yeah, I don't really understand why we didn't do that. It sort of, although Man United didn't really create much, we got lucky with Harry Maguire being offside. Noni's got to score that tap in. I know he was offside, but Enzo's got to score on that tap in as well. There's no excuses for missing those chances. And then Noni's got to literally, when we're all over Man United, Cucurella just scored, brilliant header, brilliant assist from Reece James. It's so good seeing Reece James in at right back rather than playing centre mid when Maresca keeps putting him. Um, and it's nice to see Casado, our best player of the season, being played in centre mid. And then just after, anyway, as I was saying, just after that Cucurella header, Madueke had that chance to literally roll it in the corner and he sliced it wide. And it's stuff like that where we need to capitalise. Um, I have to say that although, I wasn't booing Mason Mount yesterday, people coming on social media, especially some journalists saying fans shouldn't boo Mason Mount. Look, I can get why people did boo Mason Mount because judging by what the media reported, he turned down a pretty similar contract at Chelsea to go and sign for more money at Manchester United. And then that poor, awful goodbye video that he did was shocking considering he'd been there since however old he was as a kid. And that was sort of awful. And then his dad coming out and saying we're home when he was in the Manchester United dressing room. So I think then people who are booing him, although I loved him when he was at Chelsea and I was disappointed when we sold him, had every right to do that. And I think again on the atmosphere point, I think that football fans are fickle, wherever way you look at it, because they react to what they see on the pitch. And although people are like, oh, that could be poor support, realistically, everywhere's like that. All football stadiums in the world react to what they're seeing on the pitch. And this season and last season and the season, Bob, ever since Clear Lake and Bowley and Begdad, or whatever his name is in charge, we've seen the same football, boring. You saw in the FA Cup final today, a Palace side beat City, dominate with possession, and they just counter-attacking, and it was beautiful to watch for me. Great defending, some nice counter-attacks from Palace at pace, and it just goes to show that this passing football's dying, and thank God for that. And I don't know why we're trying to copy it because I just find it so dull and boring to watch, and fans can't get going when they're watching this, when they're not seeing chances being created, and you see like we'll dominate, so-called dominate a game with possession and everything, have all the ball, and then the team will go and score and they'll win 1-0, and that's at the end of the day, that's the stat that matters, the scoreline. And I just think that if Chelsea say we're aggressive like Newcastle were against Chelsea, the crowd would have been very loud at Stamford Bridge yesterday. And ultimately that's what it boils down to. I didn't think it was actually that bad, especially after we'd scored, which isn't a shock. But It could be much louder if we saw some aggressive attacking football on the pitch, and it's everyone that sees it. And I just don't get how the sporting directors and the manager can't see it. Um, but yeah, we've got two more finals now. Have to beat Forest away last game of the season. We have to beat Betis in the Conference League final. And I don't think you can have one without the other. I think you need to have Champions League football and win the Conference League to deem this an okay season. Because I think if you don't get Champions League football in the Conference League, well, that's a trophy you're expected to win, and you haven't got Champions League football again. And then if you get Champions League and win the Conference League, sorry, lose the Conference League, then you've lost the competition you should have walked. So I think that now we have to win everything to be deemed an all right season as a step so-called forward. I'm not a fan of Maresca's style of football, so I don't have a hope for us in the Champions League if we do get it. Um, Particularly if we don't sign leaders and sort of more mature players, players of real quality rather than kids. But we'll see. Yeah. Anyway, big game against Forest next weekend. Two must wins coming up.